The space they found themselves in outside the wheelhouse was far too narrow for a hallway. On their left, a wooden door. Junpei pushed it open, stepped into the room beyond. It was full of all manner of turn-of-the-century electronic equipment. Most of them were things they'd never seen before. They had no idea what they might have been for, let alone how to operate them. One smaller machine had a metal bar that ended in a circular handle. Ace recognized it. Oh yes, a telegraph key. These were used to transmit Morse code a long time ago. He turned, took in the room. That must be the communication office, then. Across the room from the door they'd entered through was another. A metal plaque nailed to it read, Captain's Quarters.
That's what it says.
Do you think... Ace swallowed. Junpei could feel his hands sweat. Only Clover was unaffected.
Well, we won't know if we don't open it.
She walked up to the door, put her hand on the knob. It opened easily, without so much as a pause. She walked in. The first thing they saw was a man on the floor, covered in blood. Junpei felt his body seize up. His mouth went dry. He felt cold. The blood in his veins slowed to a crawl. His heart tightened like a fist. The third time he'd seen the horror of death in front of him. He didn't think it was something he'd start to see much of. Still, he'd begun to accept that whatever it was he saw, whatever happened to him, was beyond his control. Whatever force controlled him was driven by a determination he couldn't hope to match. A sense of helplessness, desperation, washed over him, left behind a feeling of utter emptiness that wormed his way through his body like acid. Then he realized they hadn't checked the man's pulse. Maybe he was still alive? Fueled by that spark of hope, Junpei ran to his body, and in a moment, that hope was dashed. His fingers felt no pulse. His pupils had dilated. He wasn't breathing. Junpei lifted the man's already stiff body, a deep red wound on his chest. Junpei didn't have to wonder long about what could make such a wound. Lying next to the corpse was an axe, the entire blade drenched in a bright red blood. From the shape of the man's wound, there could be no doubt it had been made by the axe. Junpei looked at the body again. A lake of blood stretched out around it. It was wearing the clothes of a ship's captain, but they were stained with blood. A captain. Did that mean this man was 0? On his left hand was a bracelet. The number 0. It was only then that Junpei noticed the stench of blood that filled the room. You couldn't help but laugh. Nothing else to say, really. It was too simple, too obvious, too straightforward. If there hadn't been a dead man on the floor, Junpei might have thought it was a joke. But nonetheless, we need to seek a way out.
There's blood on the chair. You think this was the dead guy's?
Probably. A music box.
A lamp, but it doesn't turn on. I don't think there's anything special about it. A bed. Nothing in it.
What's the deal with this? Some kind of code? 4 rows of numbers and letters. They all start with 0 and if 8, F, N, or V, respectively. Maybe it has something to do with number bases.
A camcorder.
Seems it's pointed at the door.
The power's on.
Why would someone want to videotape a door? the control panel for the electronic lock. Guess gotta put in a passcode.
I don't think it's just about numbers. There's a hole in the bottom of it. You might need a key.
That's our objective door right there. There's a bunch of weird buttons here. They switch on what you see on the screens.
You know how to work this thing?
Let's just push one of these, like this one. Oh, I guess it does change. What the hell is this? Junpei snorted with grim humor for the second time since coming into the room. The 4 screens along the bottom had a single letter each, spelling out 0. Junpei felt like he was being mocked. The real villain was somewhere laughing at them. What do you think? He turned to Clover, standing next to him. Her voice was too low to hear.
Nothing.
She didn't really care about much. Of course, Junpei could hardly blame her. Given the strain she was surely under, Junpei was somewhat surprised she'd responded at all. Still, he had to ask. He gestured toward the corpse. What about him? You think that's really 0? Clover shook her head, weakly.
There's no way that's him. Didn't I tell you already? 0's one of us.
Right.
I know it's important to figure out who this guy is, but don't you think we should figure out how to get out of here first? Please? I won't waste any more time.
Clover looked miserable, as if she could start crying. Junpei didn't have the heart to tell her no. Alright, sure thing. Was his mind playing tricks on him, Junpei wondered? For a moment, he could have sworn he'd seen Clover smile. A set of screwdrivers. Some ink. An old telegraph machine. I'll be honest, I have no idea how it works. Look, a hook. That wasn't a joke. I know, man. It looks as though that drawer is the only thing that's locked. I don't see a keyhole, though. Electronic lock? Take a look at the left side. Yeah, there's some cables. Maybe... Yeah, in order to open that, we need to input something with Morse code. But we don't know the code to put. And all we've got are these 4 items. But, if we do some examining... Would you wind it for us, Junpei? Sounds rather odd. What's this? The pins on the cylinder look rather strange. In fact, these don't look like pins at all. Looks like some sort of board. We'll need to dismantle it to get a better look. We can combine the screwdrivers with it, dismantle it, and that gets us a cylinder. There are a number of pins and some pieces of metal that look like fans attached. Funny. A whole bunch of dots, a whole bunch of dashes. You know, if I were a betting man, I bet I could combine this with some ink. Ink it on the paper. And there we have a bunch of Morse code. Now, I believe I should be able to do the Morse code puzzle now, but... Alright. Ah! Fuck! Thanks, Monty. Ugh. Regardless, Monty, Foxy. Hope you're doing well. Jeez, nice shot. Ow. I don't... I want to... Yes, you did startle me. Fuck. I don't remember what exactly the specific Morse code says. I feel like I could translate it. It might be a rubbish phrase for all I know. Let's see. Dot 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 dash dash dot dot dot. So 3, 5. The 35 is Z. If you wouldn't know it, this is yet another clue for something. So, if you remember correctly, we have Z-E-R-O. This paper here that is Morse code for 35 is Z. And a recent file we attained was something like this. This is indeed a a bunch of number bases, and in order to open up the electronic lock behind us, we need to take advantage of that, using the bottommost base, and knowing that Z is 35. So input a bunch of numbers for 35 E-R-O. I believe E is 15. R F G H I J K L M N O. So 25. 28, I think. 35, 15, 28, 25. But we still need a key. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot if I opened this drawer or not. I'm a dummy. I didn't. That might be important. All ice. There wasn't a space between the L and the I, though. Were they trying to say all ice was a single word? It was an interesting thought, but left Junpei's mind quickly as he opened it. What lay inside was far more interesting and confusing. Each page was covered in strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horned animals, wings, even kneeling humans. Egyptian, by the way. There were many pages in the file. Each was full of these strange hieroglyphs. The hell? He didn't realize he'd spoken out loud until Ace looked over. These are hieroglyphs, a form of writing in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt? That's right. Can you read them? Of course. I can't. What would make you think I could? The hell? Junpei flipped through a few more pages. It wasn't just one or two that were covered in strange symbols. Every single page was covered in them. Trying to read them was pointless. Junpei wasn't going to waste any more time, though. He made sure to close the file. And something fell out. A keycard? A symbol that reminded Junpei of the symbol for Saturn and Mercury. This one, however, had a dot in the center of the male symbol. Uranus. That's the Uranus symbol. In addition to the Uranus symbol, there were 3 words engraved on the card. On the lower right, it said Bottom Deck, Library. Was the bottom deck a library? Whatever that might be, however, would have to wait. At the moment, there was nothing Junpei can do. He gripped the keycard tighter, shoved it into his pocket. And there we go. There's the key. There we go. This would have been your hint that it's referring to Zero.
Junpei, look, there's a minus sign.
8 of them. Maybe we need to put in 8 digits.
You think you can figure it out?
So 35, 15, 28, 25. No? Okay, so maybe I messed up somewhere. Let's see. 10 is A, 11, 12, 13. Oh, it's 14. Wow. Ah! Yes, I understand. I'm an idiot. Jeez. So, if E is 14, R. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 24. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. And there we are. The hallway stretched out in front of Junpei for a bit, before turning left like a great backward L.
Waluigi!
Sorry, I couldn't help it. Junpei ran for quite some time. to a door. He was nearly halfway when he noticed a piece of paper in the middle of the floor. What the heck was a random piece of paper doing in the hallway? Junpei skated to a halt, dropped to his hands and knees, tore the paper off the floor. Now that he had a chance to look at it, it was clear it was a map. Specifically, the interior for ADAC. What's up? Ace, slightly slower by virtue of advanced age, had caught up. Junpei said nothing, showed Ace. He looked at it long enough to determine what it was and nodded. I see. With that, he ran ahead, past Junpei. Junpei shoved the map into his pocket, followed Ace, but something stopped him. Hey, where's Clover? He turned around. Clover was nowhere to be seen. What's she up to? Junpei returned back to the captain's quarters. As he stopped around the corner, she was standing in front of the captain's quarters, hand on the doorknob. She closed it gently and quietly. The hell are you doing?
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing? Clover had unconsciously put her hands over the pockets of her jacket, as if trying to hide something. The hell is that?
What?
You've got something in your pockets. What is it?
Oh, this? This is, I wonder.
The hell?
Come on, we need to hurry.
With that, Clover ran straight past a somewhat confused Junpei. As she did, he caught a glimpse of her back. From her collar was something that looked like a wooden stick. Wait, what the hell is that thing on your back? She didn't respond. She just turned the corner and disappeared. Junpei did his best to convince himself it wouldn't make sense later, ran off after Clover. Junpei pushed through the door, found himself in a large room with a large set of stairs! Ow! It was just what he expected to see after reading the map. As I see after reading the map probably meant Ace had realized the same thing. But he wasn't anywhere around. Junpei put his hand on the rail, leaned over to look down. And there he was. And not just Ace. Santa, June, Seven, and Lotus as well. Junpei and Clover glanced at each other and hurried down the stairs. They reached B-deck at the same time.
Jumpy! Clover!
June was excited. Something had happened, that much Junpei could tell simply by looking at her. What's up? Given their situation, he wasn't inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself.
We found it!
Found what?
It!
Yeah, what?
The last door! Door 9!
What? Come on, follow us! We'll explain on the way. Seven turned, jogged off down the stairs. The rest followed. The relief and excitement in June's voice echoed what each of them had felt. It's finally time. Junpei wasn't ready to believe they'd done it, at least not yet. Still, if everyone said it was door 9, it probably was. He could feel his heart racing, the mixture of anticipation and fear through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny that the prospect of escape was an exciting one. But there was one thing he couldn't get off his mind. The numbered door could only accommodate 3 to 5 people, but there were 7 of them to door 9. In the best case scenario, 2 of them would have to stay behind. He didn't have any solutions to that problem yet, but he was hoping one would present itself. Junpei looked at the clock. The hands indicated it was 4:30, 90 minutes before their time was up. Hey, Junpei! Jun! The hell are you two doing? Hurry up! Santa's voice jolted Junpei out of his reverie.
Let's go.
June took off down the stairs, jogging as quickly as she could. Junpei followed. They were quiet for a while. They'd just reached C deck when Clover spoke.
Hey, what about door 2?
Everyone else stopped. They all turned to look at Clover. Seven spoke. What about door 2?
It's the only one we didn't. We haven't gone through it.
Yes, that's true.
Are you guys okay with that? Not investigating it, I mean.
So what? We found door 9. We don't need any of the others.
What's the point? What's the point in going into door 9? We can't all go through. We should do what we have to do before we go any further. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. The best way to finish it quickly is to do the border pieces first, you know? Or what? You think all 7 of us should go through door 9? Then when we argue who stays behind and who gets to go, do we want to do that again? Who knows? If we check out door 2, we might find something. A way to get all of us out. I know it might be there. We might not find anything. But don't you think it'd be better to at least look? Am I wrong? Does that sound wrong?
You do have a point. The others nodded in agreement. Last time I checked the door, it was 4:30. It's not like we have got a lot of time, but if we're quick about it, we might be able to take a look.
You're right. And let's go take a look at door 2.
They were back in front of the elevator. Nearby was the large hospital room. The elevator could take them down to door 2. And after a few minutes of discussion, Clover, Santa, June, and Seven decided they'd go. The digital route would yield too.
I'll see you later.
Be careful. They climbed into the elevator, and Junpei listened to it creak and rattle its way to the bottom deck. Only Junpei, Ace, and Lotus were left. Sorry to meme on you, but... Oh no, what? As the elevator rumbled out of sight, Ace spoke. Who's the most sussy baka in this game? At least 3 or 4 people, just saying. Lotus at least a little bit. Ace, obviously. Clover, too. Technically, all of them are at least a little bit suspect in some way, shape, or form.
Go with you? I didn't think people still talked that way outside of the 1950s. I'm a mother. Would that be a problem for you?
That wasn't what I meant to... I was hoping you would come with me. Welcome back, Teanos! You made it just in time for the ending.
Seriously, I was kidding. So, where is it you wanted to take me?
There's something I want to show you. Hey man, what the hell? I'm not important enough? Well, it's not like that. Once I've shown Lotus, I'll show you. Really? Of course. Ace's donk was friendly. Fine, do whatever you want. Thank you. You coming, Lotus?
Fine. Doesn't look like they're gonna be back anytime soon. Might as well go see whatever it is you think it's so important.
Thank you. Shall we go? Ace turned, walked. Lotus followed. They disappeared into the hallway on the left. Junpei wasn't sure how long they'd been gone when the elevator opened. The only person there, though, was Clover. She looked at Junpei and purposely stepped out of the elevator. The door closed behind her. Where's everyone else? What happened? She didn't answer. Her eyes swept the room, settled on Junpei.
There are Ace and Lotus.
Junpei explained quickly.
Oh, they went over there.
Her voice was small and timid. I think so. He repeated his earlier question. So where are June, Santa, Seven? Why aren't they with you?
You really want to know?
There's something wrong with her smile. Yeah?
Okay, sure. Let me show you.
Clover tossed a few things onto the floor at Junpei's feet. He looked down. At their bracelets. Oh my god. Junpei collapsed. No way. This has got to be some sort of joke. This can't be real. His body felt like rubber. His heart, a cold lump in his chest. His hands shook uncontrollably. Sweat poured down his face. 3, 7, 6. There were only 2 ways for a bracelet to be removed. Escape or death. In other words, but why? Junpei's voice was flat and broken. Clover's response was cold.
Revenge for my brother. He was forced into door 3 and murdered. You need at least 3 people to open the door. Who were the 2 that opened the door with him? It had to have been Santa and Seven. I killed them.
But why? Why did you kill June?
She tried to protect them. She was in my way. She had to die too.
Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to wake himself from what had to have been a dream. It couldn't be real.
Hey, Junpei.
He felt Clover's hand on his shoulder. Her smile was horribly wrong. Her face, a mask made from stretched human skin. The smile that parted her lips didn't extend to her eyes. They were dead and empty. The girl in front of him was no longer the Clover he'd known. Perhaps she wasn't even human.
Let's go.
Her hand reached out toward him.
Let's get out of here. Let's leave this ship.
What the hell are you talking about? To open a numbered door.
I know. You need 3 people. But you don't need 3 people. Just 3 bracelets.
She had pulled out the 0 bracelet from the captain.
See? Get it? With the 0 bracelet, we can leave. You and I can open door 9. See? Let's go. Come on, hurry up.
She shoved out her hand again. Junpei looked up at Clover. She had the face of a demon. But there was something else. A holy light that surrounded her. A fierce god, a benevolent goddess filled with love.
Junpei?
Her voice was soft. Her eyes weren't empty. They were deep. So deep, Junpei could feel himself falling. He felt dizzy. There was something bewitching about her. His mind cracked. His heart melted.
Junpei.
The hand she was offering. It looked so inviting. He reached with his own hand, closed it over hers. Junpei writhed in agony. He shuddered, twitched, his body spasming as he went into shock. He screamed until his throat was torn and bloody, and screamed more. His cries echoed across the room, and his movements slowed and faded. No more strength in his body. He could feel it begin to go numb. He no longer felt pain. He no longer felt anything. Whatever Junpei had been was gone. The last remnants of his mind faded, even as his vision faded to nothingness. He saw Clover.
Thanks, Junpei. I'm just gonna borrow this. Okay?
Her smile was cold. What was left of Junpei's conscious mind drifted away. All that was left was a twisted, broken corpse. I did say this was a very dark game.